Welcome to Franchise Marketing Radio, brought to you by SeoSamba. Comprehensive high-performing marketing solutions for mature and emerging franchise brands. To supercharge your franchise marketing, go to SeoSamba.com. That's SeoSamba.com.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of Franchise Marketing Radio, and this is going to be a good one. Today we have with us Devina Bhojwani with Idea Lab Kids. Welcome.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Well, I'm excited to learn what you're up to. Tell us about Idea Lab Kids. Who you serving?
Sure, absolutely. So Idea Lab Kids is an after-school STEM or STEAM-based program. The A is arts added into STEM, which has become more popular these days. But we've been around for about 10 years. We started our original journey with our own brick and mortar stores that we owned and operated. And then fairly quickly, we were inundated with requests to franchise this concept. And in 2016, we started doing the legal regulations of getting our FTD teed up. And 2017 was the first franchise location that opened in Austin. And from then to today, we have about 88 assigned territories, and we have presence in 8 countries in the U.S., and then we also have some presence in Canada.
Now, is it still a brick or mortar, or is it something you go to the different schools and do the after-school program?
So it's a blend of both. It is a brick and mortar. So anyone who comes into our franchise system does have to open a brick and mortar business. We do give them some time at the beginning to run the mobile program, which in our world is called On the Go. So they can take the same program to schools, after-school providers, girls and boys clubs, YMCAs, what have you. But essentially, we do our core and center is our brick and mortar stores.
And is a typical franchisee somebody who's also kind of doing the work of teaching the kids, or are they more in charge of kind of managing the operation and deploying a team that does the kind of education component?
Great question. We have 2 business models. One would be a manager-run or manager or director-led business model where a franchisee comes in, and this is more of an investment for them, and they have a director at their facility that takes care of the day-to-day needs. And then the second option, which we also have franchisees doing this, is where they are the director in the program, they are the teacher and the facilitator, and teach the classes. It works both ways. Honestly, we have success in both of those business models. It just really truly depends on the individual and what works with their financial situation and what they're looking for.
Now, did initially, or maybe still, that this is attractive to maybe retired teachers who are looking for kind of that second act after they stop being teachers?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, teachers by far definitely have the patience to firstly teach and educate children and be in this space. But to be honest with you, I get asked a lot, what is the perfect franchisee profile? I've got everybody from a PhD who's a doctor out in the woodlands to somebody who's, in the tech background and works for NASA. And, this is one of their investments. So you don't really have to come from the education space. What we really look for is a passion for education and wanting to bring this to your community and to impact and change the lives of these children, because kids are getting exposed, or we want them to get exposed to STEAM learning or STEM learning very early these days, and it's starting as early as kindergarten.
Now, can you walk maybe a potential franchisee through what a day in the life of an Idea Lab Kids franchisee looks like?
Sure, absolutely. So just as any other small business, you are wearing multiple hats here. Your day would start off with making sure that you've got your supplies teed up for the lessons or the camps that you're going to teach that day or that week. Most of our centers, Lee, have they typically start more in the afternoon because we are an after-school program. But I will tell you, because of the pandemic and the shift to virtual learning, we have had a morning demand for our facilities as well, where parents of essential care workers needed somewhere to send their child. So they were coming to an Idea Lab facility, and we were taking care of the virtual school as well as layering in STEM activities. What the franchisee is responsible for is, everything from operations, logistics, making sure you've got what you need to run the classes, customer service, talking to the parents that walk in, or in this case these days drop off at the door, mass temperatures at the door, what have you. And then lastly, also most importantly, is marketing for your brand, right? We have this saying where you might get stuck within the four walls of your facility, but you continuously are marketing so that you can get new families in and to our program and get brand awareness in your community.
And I would imagine that's kind of the important component that maybe new people don't realize the importance of, that they have to kind of immerse themselves in their community in order to really grow this.
Oh, absolutely, Lee. Whether it's Idea Lab or any other franchise that your listeners are thinking about, or any other business for that matter, really grassroots marketing and word of mouth marketing, those two go such a long way. I'm a mom and I have 2 kids, and friends tell me about a program that they tried with their child, or even when we go to fitness classes, right? You hear from somebody else that tried a program and they really liked it. So being involved in your community, knowing the schools, the PTO players that are present there, and doing social events, community events. Sometimes franchisees will ask us, well, this doesn't generate any revenue, but it does give you indirect revenue because you are being present and families are hearing about the program, and that's what builds awareness.
Now, how do you explain kind of the explosive growth you had fairly early on? A lot of new emerging franchises would be kind of drooling over that kind of traction.
Yeah, I like how you call it explosive growth. It was really, we were in a tizzy where we couldn't keep up with the sales because it almost was getting calls from Canada, and we hadn't considered, are we even going into Canada at that point? And then that made us, look at our business model and say, yes, we do want to look at the Canadian market because it is very similar to the US. So the reason for our explosive growth, I think, honestly, was right time, right place. There's been such a strong demand for a good STEM-based or STEAM-based program. And for a parent who's looking for both a coding class and a cooking class, or a coding and an art class, we have those offerings under one roof. It's not just an offering of one program kind of facility. So honestly, a lot of it was organic. We didn't do a whole ton of marketing. Our phones were ringing off the hook, and we were entering states like California, Tennessee, Georgia. A lot of that happened very organically. In Texas itself, we have 7 operating locations. Now, one caveat to that, Lee, was last year when the pandemic hit, we had just signed up our master area developer for the Middle East in February. And then as soon as March turned around, we literally put a pause on franchising, and we did not sell anything after that. It was an intentional pause to get our existing young franchisees through the pandemic. It's been a very, very tough time for all brick and mortar businesses, and our focus was very shifted to being very internal. And we've come out stronger and better this year. So now we're truly back to franchising again and looking at growing in the Texas market right now. That's been our uber focus, but really all over the U.S. is what we're open for.
Now, you mentioned that during the pandemic you added, I don't know if you added or you just kind of enhanced this virtual component to the service. Is that something you see kind of now baked into the offering moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. A story to share there is right when the stay-home orders were issued, we at the corporate offices tried to figure out, okay, what can we do to still stay top of mind of our customers, and what can we do to help our customers, right? All of a sudden, schools were closed, families were all home, parents are trying to work, and kids at that point in those first couple of weeks had no school even. We started off with these Facebook Live videos and just shared a video around making a robot at home with Amazon boxes, which we were getting plenty of those deliveries. And in our little world of social media, that went viral on us. We had 5,000 views and people at home doing these videos. They were asking for more of them. So that led into a newsletter. And then we had already been working on a virtual platform on how to teach our classes to grow beyond the four walls of our franchise locations. And that is now baked into the business model. We have an offering where you could teach at your facility. And then, of course, we already had the on-the-go program where you go into other centers. And now you could do that with this platform to make it easier to teach those classes, almost enhancing the experience and solving the problem of the expert in the classroom, because everybody is not necessarily trained in science or engineering when we hire these teachers. So our goal was to make it easier for our franchisees to be able to teach the same content and have support in doing so.
Now, what was kind of the catalyst for you to come up with this idea and to do this kind of work? Did you really see kind of a gap in the formal education regarding STEM and STEAM that just wasn't being filled by traditional education, and that you felt that you can create a fun environment that'll help the kids get that kind of the skills they need? And these skills to me aren't even nice to haves anymore. They're must haves moving forward.
Yeah, no, we definitely saw a huge gap. Even when we first started the brand, we saw a gap in terms of hands-on learning and, what a child learns when they do a project. Like we have one which is Play-Doh circuit, where they make the Play-Doh, which all our kiddos love. But then what they do next is they build a circuit, and they have a little light bulb, they have a battery, and it's amazing to see all their little faces light up when the entire circuit works. And there's so much learning from that, right? A little 5-year-old is learning about power sources, so different supplies. One of them was even amazed that, if you don't have the battery in there, nothing's really going to work. So things like that were definitely, we still see that as a gap. I think our education levels, they're great, but it's hard for them to keep up with hands-on learning. And that's a true thing that we believe in, is there's so much that children learn from these hands-on experiments or, building. We have another project where they build toothpicks. They use toothpicks and marshmallows to build a toothpick architecture. So they're learning about architecture and engineering and all of these fields, and they're getting exposed to it so early on, almost through play, that when they reach those grades of high school, they can kind of helps mold them and figure out what their interests lie in when they go to college.
So now, how do you come up with kind of these creative ideas that are fun, easy, kind of accessible to folks, but also still provides that foundational learning and the skills?
Yeah, we have a curriculum team of writers that is housed here at our corporate offices. And in this great world of remote working, we all, in fact, if anything, during the pandemic, our team has grown. And they work on these projects. They actually have a whole bunch of fun doing it because they get to practice it and test it out themselves to see if it really works. But all of our content is built in-house. We have some third-party content in terms of coding and things like that, but most of our non-tech content is mostly built in-home.
And then it's good for what age kids?
Sure, yeah. So our programs go from 4-year-olds all the way to 14-year-olds. And our sweet spot that we see in our programs is anywhere from that 8 to 11-year-old. The 3rd, 4th graders truly love this. But it works for all those ages, and going into elementary schools is truly what works for our franchises.
And then for somebody interested in a franchise, how long does it take from when they say, hey, this is something that I might be interested to actually getting a location up and running?
Sure. So the actual sales process at the first part goes for about 6 to 8 to 9 weeks, depending on how fast the prospect moves. But we have a sales flow channel that is a sales flow process that is defined, where they go through learning about the FTD, talking to prospect franchisees. We are truly looking for a fit, Lee, with our brand. Does that person have the same drive and passion as we do? Are they involved in the community? Do they want to be involved in the community? That would be the right franchisee. And then from the time they sign a franchise agreement to actually opening their brick and mortar store, takes about 3 to 6 months, depending on again, real estate space availability, finding the right spot. We do have our own demographic analysis tool that we use to make sure that our franchisees are located in the optimum spot for their franchises.
And so what's been the most rewarding part of this adventure for you?
So much. So I was a franchisee prior to this role that I'm currently on with a different brand. And having done that for 8 years, ran and operated my own stores. I had one of the top performing stores in the nation, but then I also had a very slow performing store, which didn't do so well. So, when people ask me what does it take to have the best performing or top 3 stores in the nation, I would always say that it's you really have to do that local grassroots marketing. That honestly to me is the key. You have to put your head down and be out there, and the returns happen. They just come across your plate. But what's been most rewarding to me is seeing our franchisees prosper and provide this program to families that there's such a large need for, and to open up in new communities. When we opened our first store in Georgia, they had never had an Idea Lab in that community before. It just even our grand opening, we saw hundreds of families. This was right pre-pandemic, and that those are the pivotal moments where you're super proud of the work that you do and the change that you're bringing about in the lives of these kids.
Yeah, well, you're doing important work, and this is something that's so needed nowadays, to get kids just opening their mind to kind of playing and enjoying this kind of work. They consume the technology, but they don't want to learn how it works and how they can be a creator and not just a consumer.
Right.
Now, if somebody wants to learn more, what's the website?
Sure. So for franchising, our website is franchise.idealabkids.com. Or if you don't remember that, just simply go to idealabkids.com. And if you're as passionate about impacting lives in your community as we are, then give us a call. We would love to talk to you.
Well, congratulations on all the success. You're doing important work, and we appreciate you.
Thank you, Lee, for having me here today. This has been my highlight of the whole week.
Well, thank you. All right, this is Lee Cantor. We'll see you all next time on Franchise Marketing Radio.